Hello, everybody. I'm Melissa, and welcome back to Book Bar, and welcome to another trope recommendation video. Today, I'm going to be talking about roommates. None of these are nanny, single dad roommate. They're active roommates for other reasons. And yeah, I love a good forced proximity roommate situation because, there's always that tension of like, will they, won't they? Are they gonna get jealous? Like, one of my favorite scenes in a roommate romance is when one of them like goes out with someone else and the other one just is like stewing in their anger while the other person's out, and then they come back and it's like a explosion and everything comes out that they want to be with the other person. So yeah, I love a good roommate situation. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and get started. I got 10 books and then 4 on my TBR. So the first one is Heartbreaker Handoff by Maren, and this follows Roxy and Billy, and this is the 5th book in the Varsity Dad series. You could read them all as standalones, but if you read them in order, you do see like previous couples, you see like the couples upcoming. But this follows Roxy and Billy, and Billy is kind of the playboy of the school, of the football team, and Roxy is a cheerleader and the coach's daughter, and the football coach's daughter, and the football coach does not like Billy because he is very loudmouth, like cocky. He knows he's good, doesn't care, isn't afraid to, shout from the rooftops how good he is. And Roxy is, of course, coach's little girl, and she is dating the coach's favorite player, and he ends up being a complete jerk face, and Roxy ends up pregnant, and she's going to go tell the father of the baby that she's pregnant, but she goes to his house and he's actually having an engagement party with his high school sweetheart, and Roxy had no clue that he's in a relationship, so she decides not to tell him, and she was waiting to tell her parents until she had told the baby's father. Well, of course, then she doesn't say anything because she doesn't tell her parents because she doesn't want anyone to know until he knows. But obviously she's not going to ruin his engagement party like that. She's like, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't want to do that I don't want to do this to the other girl, to the other woman. That's not fair to her. And so Roxy had to quit the cheer because she was a cheerleader. She had to quit the cheer team, and her dad gets a call talking about why she quit and stuff, and he's confused. So she goes to his office and tells him what it is, and he's berating her, yelling at her. And Billy comes in and is like, "Stop! Don't do this." Billy knew that she was pregnant and knows who the father is, but the coach just assumes that it's Billy. And things go from there, and they end up having to live together because they're faking that he is the baby's father. And yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. So yes. Next is Only and Forever by Liese, and this is the final book in the Bergman Brothers series. This is Viggo and Tallulah, and Viggo and Tallulah had a college class together. Tallulah is actually Ziggy, who is Viggo's little sister. It's her best friend's older sister. They had a college class together, and there was an attraction there. And then she shows up at the A-frame, and then a year goes by, and Viggo needs some help, and Tallulah also needs help. So they agree to help each other, and they end up living together. And of course, things go from there, obviously. Then the next book I have is Hidden Waters by Cowles. This is the 3rd book in the Wolf Gap Tattered and Torn series. Why did I call it? Well, Wolf Gap is the town. But in the Tattered and Torn series, this is the 3rd book. This is Addie and Beckett. And Addie is, if you read the books in order, you know that Addie is the heroine from book 1. I can't remember her name. It's her cousin who grew up in the cult that, the heroine from book 1. She grew up in a cult and struggles with men because men are just awful in this cult. And so she ends up going to live at her cousin's house. I can't remember her name, the cousin's name. But she goes to live at her cousin's house because her cousin obviously moves in with the hero from book 1. Can't remember either of their names. She goes to live in his house, the hero's house, because he moves in with the heroine from book 1. And so she goes to live at this house and has, starting to like become more independent and figure out life until Beckett shows up. And Beckett is the hero from book 1. It's his older brother, and he's been away being a doctor, like doing Doctors Without Borders, and he needs somewhere to stay. So he ends up, Addie agrees to let him stay at the house, and, things are going to go from there. So, of course, loved it very much. Catherine Cowles, third act conflict, everything, But fantastic book, and I love the cover. Great mental health rep in this one. Then I have Destiny's Embrace by Beverly Jenkins. This is the first book in like the Destiny series. I need to continue because I really want to read book 2, but book 1 was phenomenal. And that is Logan and Mariah. And Mariah is living in Philadelphia. She is working as like a seamstress, and then her mom does something. Says something to her. So she goes and lives with her aunt, and her aunt sees in the paper someone in California needing a like maid, houseworker, to come help with the housework and things. So Mariah says, she answers the letter, or the classified, whatever, and goes to California to work for Logan out at his house. And, things are going to go from there. Of course, she said she was a widow. She's not a widow, but that ended up not being a big deal. It was not like a drawn out conflict. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. So loved that one. Then we have Love Under Starlight by Patel. This is Mira and Luke. And I never read book 1, but I guess they both show up in book 1. But Mira lives in India and with her mom and her little brother. And it's just the 3 of them because her father had committed suicide. So content warning for that. There is talk of it and like the family struggling after. And so Luke is working on his PhD, and he needs to go and like he wants to like explore and look at like the architecture and their stepwells in India because he thinks that they're amazing. So he is going to go there for the summer, and he lives with Mira and her family for the summer as their tenant. And of course, Mira gives up her room and is like sleeping outside, and he like goes and like joins her, listens to music with her, and kind of like he doesn't understand the music, but he like can feel her like mood based off her music. It was so cute. I loved it. And yeah, such a good book. I read it for, I think it was the November new release vlog. I'll have it up there. Then I have a photo finish by Elsie Silver. This is Violet Eaton, who is the sister of all of the Eaton boys in the Chestnut Spring series. This is Violet and Cole. And Cole is a former military man. And he's kind of a jerk. But he owns the ranch that Violet works at. And something happens to Violet and she gets injured and ends up having to stay with Cole for a while, like living in his house. And, you just can't avoid what's going on. And yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. Very good. Like, it was fun to read about Violet, and I love this cover so much. Next up, I have Some Things Never Change by C. Yang. This is Julie and Andy, and Julie is moving back to her hometown after being away for a while. She's getting a new job, and things are happening, and so her best friend, Andy, is like, well, why don't you come live with me? I have an extra room. Come stay with me. It'll be fine. Well, lo and behold, both Julie and Andy have always been in love with the other one. And so, they end up being in the same house, and, feelings, sparks, all the things are flying. And so, yeah, it was very cute. I really enjoyed it. I read this for I think, February new release vlog. I'll have that up there. Next up, I have The Co-op by Tarah DeWitt. This is Loren and Deacon. And Loren and Deacon kind of had a summer fling one year because Loren always went to visit her grandma, I believe. And Deacon's grandma also, I believe they were in a relationship together. I could be wrong about why they spent their summers together in Santa Cruz. And they both end up getting this house when the grandmas pass away or move, or I don't remember exactly, but somehow they both end up becoming the owners of this house. And so they agree to like spend the summer fixing it up and living together, and then they're going to sell it at the end of the summer. But of course, you know, plans are going to change, obviously. But it was very cute. I really enjoyed it. Next up, I have, this is a non-traditional like roommates situation, because they're not really roommates, but they do share a tour bus. And that is Take You Down by the one and only McKay Marie, aka Oh Hits McKay. I just wanted to shout about this book because I love McKay's books. I love her Whisper Me Nothing series. Plus, just look at this stunning dark and quirky edition. This is raised. You can't see it, but just absolutely stunning with the, I love it. So I just really wanted an excuse to show this off. So this follows Walker and Scar, and Scar is opening up for Walker's band on tour. Walker's band is the Whisper Me Nothings, and Scarlett is kind of a, is she a DJ or is she just a singer? I don't remember exactly what she does, but she's the opener for them because they're going on tour with like a DJ. And so she's on tour with them, and Walker and Scar have a very slow burn, friends to lovers relationship. And, you know, they spend time together on the tour bus, and she's the only girl there. So other than the photographer and the DJ's girlfriend is also there, but the DJ and his girlfriend have their own bus, and I think the photographers have their own bus as well. So Scarlett is with the band. And, you know, things are going to go from there. And Scarlett has a lot of religious trauma from her past, but until when secrets come out, things happen. This book is so good. This series is, like, shaping up to be a favorite series. So, yeah, Run, Don't Walk. Go read it. Then the final book I have is The Homerun Proposal by Maren Moore. This is Lane and Hallie, and Lane is a baseball player for the new school that they go to. I can't remember what it's called. And Hallie is his little brother's best friend. No relationship between the two of them. No feelings between Hallie and her best friend. So that is not an issue. But Hallie ends up living with them because they're close. They're family friends. They just agree to all live in a house together. And Hallie is like, you know what? I just need to, you know, do it. I need to lose my V card and just do it. So she's like, you know what? I'm just going to ask my best friend to do it. I'm going to write him a note and I'm just going to ask him. Well, she ended up asking Lane on accident, not her best friend. And Lane's like, well, I'll do it. I'll teach you. And of course, things are going to go from there. There was no best friend drama. It was fantastic, other than like the best friend told his brother, like, if you hurt her, I will kill you. Which I love that. Like, I love that he's like, no, do not hurt my best friend. I will kill you, even though you're my blood. Love that. So, yeah, those are my 10 recommendations for neighbors. Now I'm going to get into my 5 on my TBR. Again, I don't always know if these are exactly roommates or if it's just like, but for some reason, they are on a Goodreads list under roommates. So this one I do know is roommates, and that is Hawke by Jessie Hall. I believe this is like boyfriend's best friend. Like, Hawke ends up living with them for some reason. I think his name is Hawke. But again, just a gorgeous dark and quirky edition that I just love to show off. So yes, that one I know is roommates. Then I have Catching Feelings by Maren Moore. This is the second book in that baseball series. I don't know how they're roommates, but I guess they are. Then I have Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. This is a hockey romance, and I think like she's a PR or something, and he's a goalie. I don't know. But I've heard good things. I've heard mixed things about this, but I do own it, and I am excited to give it a try. And the last one I have is P.S. You're Intolerable by Julia Wolf. I do know that, like, it's a boss employee, and it's not his baby, and she goes to live with him because he realizes her house is terrible, and she needs a better place to raise her baby. But yeah, those are my 10 books and 4 on my TBR for roommates, and I love a good roommate situation. What is your favorite roommate book? And if you made it to the end of this video, leave me a couch emoji or some sort of like chair sitting situation, because you know you got to furnish the house or the apartment or the tour bus or whatever they're living on. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. It really helps me out, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye.